Ed Royce, chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, joins me now. Thank you for joining me, Congressman. I really appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
So Secretary Kerry at NATO there today. Earlier this he met with Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, tried to convince him to move forward with creating a more inclusive government. And we just got a wire that said that a defiant Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki rejected calls Wednesday for an interim national salvation government. So at this point, what is your level of confidence that there's a political resolution to this, Congressman?
Well, clearly Maliki has helped bring this crisis on. I mean, between Maliki and this obsession which this al-Qaeda offshoot has for a caliphate, if Maliki had included Sunni and Kurdish elements in the government, if he were willing to compromise, clearly he could pull the country behind him. He has not been willing to do so. And his comments today show again that rather than a statesman, what we have is someone who's destroying the possibility in his country of uniting the country against this attack coming out of Syria by this al-Qaeda offshoot.
And so, given that, Congressman, do you think the United States needs to move forward with airstrikes?
Well, we do not want to see U.S. boots on the ground in Iraq. What has been requested by the government in Iraq, but also by our embassy in Baghdad, is that as these columns of al-Qaeda offshoot soldiers move, that we use Predators drones above them in order to look down, and you can actually see the ski masks and the black flags, and to hit these columns and take these columns out, because that has proved to be a pretty effective strategy in the past when you're dealing with al-Qaeda offshoots like this. And so that has been the critique. Should we have done this? Should we do it now? In the past, the administration has said no, but now we've got this organization on the border of Jordan. And of course, if they go over the border and begin to attack in Jordan, and their plan is one caliphate, you know, Israel, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, that is part of their scheme. What do we do? Do we at some point order these attacks, because there's a relatively small number of them, 7,000, let's say, of these fighters?
And Congressman, just to be clear, are you saying that we should move forward with ordering those attacks?
I do think that in terms of drones, I think we should have accepted the request of the government in Iraq, but also our embassy in Iraq, who suggested we take this course when these columns were on the move, because that's the one thing that really is effective against al-Qaeda.
And we should say there's a new poll that is coming out today, new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, which shows that 71% of people now say the war effort in Iraq wasn't worth it. I want to switch gears, though, Congressman, and ask you about Ukraine. There is a ceasefire, but clearly the violence has continued. We've gotten some mixed messages from President Putin, who called for an extension of the ceasefire, but also asked Russia's upper house on Tuesday to revoke the right it had given him to order a military intervention in Ukraine. Secretary Kerry seems to be very skeptical of that. Do you share that skepticism? Can Putin be trusted on this?
I do, too. I was in eastern Ukraine, and I talked to many Russian-speaking Ukrainians in that region, including the local governor in the main city there, and many of the women's groups, minority groups, civil society, Jewish groups, all of that it was very unhelpful, that what Moscow was doing was bringing in agents and creating upheaval. Now, certainly there are some in the society in Donetsk and some of the other cities in the east that support that type of activity, but at least in Dnipropetrovsk, where I was, it was uniformly condemned by those in civil society, and they said that he's keeping the situation in a slow state of unrest so that the country can't heal. So it's not at this moment as though people think that Russian troops are going to come over the border, but it's the fact of the ongoing acts of provocation, shooting down helicopters, assassinations and so forth. That kind of thing in the East on the ground. It's very unfortunate. We wish that Russia would cease and desist with these actions.
All right, Congressman Ed Royce, thank you for your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you.